Stop right there. Before you clock in tomorrow morning, before you sit through another pointless meeting, before you smile at your boss while dying inside, I need you to hear something that's going to make you extremely uncomfortable. You think promotions are about hard work? You think raises come from loyalty? You think playing nice gets you into the corner office? That's the biggest lie corporate America ever sold you. Every single morning you walk into a building where everyone is playing a game. But here's the brutal truth. While you're following the employee handbook like it's scripture, other people are following a completely different set of rules. Rules nobody ever writes down. Rules that determine who stays stuck at their desk and who walks into executive meetings. And the most painful part. The people rising past you aren't smarter. They're not more talented. They didn't go to better schools. They simply learned lessons you were never taught. Machiavelli understood something 500 years ago that most people still don't get today. Power doesn't flow to the deserving. Power flows to those who understand how power actually works. Right now, there are 6 brutal lessons separating you from the life you want. 6 psychological principles that every CEO knows but no HR department will ever teach. 6 truths so uncomfortable that most people spend their entire careers pretending they don't exist. Learn these lessons and you become untouchable. You become the person everyone wants to work with, hire, promote. You become someone who doesn't beg for opportunities because opportunities chase you. Ignore these lessons and you stay exactly where you are, replaceable, overlooked, stuck watching less capable people move past you while you wonder what you're doing wrong. This isn't motivational garbage. This isn't feel-good advice about believing in yourself. This is raw psychology about how hierarchies actually function, how decisions really get made, how power truly moves inside organizations. I'm going to show you exactly why some people plateau at middle management while others keep rising, why some careers explode while others fade into irrelevance, why some professionals command respect without saying a word while others beg for attention and get nothing. By the end of this, you'll see your workplace completely differently. You'll understand the invisible game being played around you every single day. And most importantly, you'll know exactly what to do tomorrow morning to start climbing instead of surviving. Before we start, I want you to write this affirmation in the comments. I play to win. That's your contract with yourself. No more excuses. No more waiting. No more hoping someone notices your effort. From this moment forward, you're playing the real game. The world you thought you knew. Let me ask you something that's going to sting. How many times have you stayed late? How many weekends did you sacrifice? How many times did you go above and beyond thinking it would matter? And what did you get? A thank you email, maybe a pizza party, definitely not a promotion. You know why? Because everything they told you about how careers work is designed to keep you productive and powerless. They told you merit matters, work hard, and you'll be rewarded. Keep your head down and good things will come. Be a team player and leadership will notice. Those aren't career strategies. Those are obedience training. Think about it. Who benefits when you believe hard work automatically leads to success? Your company does. They get maximum effort for minimum investment. You stay focused on tasks while they stay focused on profits. Who benefits when you think loyalty matters? Your boss does. You won't leave. You won't negotiate. You won't make demands because you're waiting for them to reward your dedication. Who benefits when you avoid office politics? The people playing politics. While you're being pure and ethical, they're building relationships, forming alliances, and positioning themselves for the next opening. The system wants you to believe that meritocracy is real, that the best people rise naturally, that talent speaks for itself. But here's what they'll never admit. Talent doesn't speak for itself. Talent gets ignored, stolen, and underpaid every single day. Meanwhile, people half as capable but twice as strategic are getting promoted, getting raises, and getting exactly what they want. You've been conditioned to see ambition as greed, strategy as manipulation, self-promotion as arrogance. Why? Because ambitious, strategic, self-promoting employees are harder to control. They ask for more, they leave when undervalued, they refuse to accept scraps. The comfortable employee stays put, the hungry employee becomes expensive. This is why HR tells you to focus on your work and let results speak for themselves. They know results don't speak. Results sit silently in spreadsheets while the person who presented them takes credit in the boardroom. Machiavelli once said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand." Translation: people promote what they see, not what's actually happening. If your boss sees you grinding alone at your desk, you look busy. If they see you presenting in meetings, building relationships, and making your work visible, you look valuable. Visibility beats productivity every time. Here's the truth that's going to make you angry. Your company doesn't want you to understand this. They need a workforce that believes effort equals reward. They need people who won't question why their colleague with half their output just got the promotion you deserved. They need you focused on working harder instead of working smarter. On being loyal instead of being strategic, on hoping instead of demanding. And every day you accept this framework, you give away power you didn't even know you had. Now write this affirmation in the comments. I see the real game. Lesson 1. Performance doesn't matter. Perception does listen carefully, because this is the lesson that changes everything. You think your job is to do good work. Wrong. Your job is to make sure people know you do good work. There's a massive difference. Right now, someone in your company is getting promoted over you. Not because they're better, because they're more visible. They don't work harder, they work louder. Every executive started as someone who understood this brutal truth. What people think you contribute matters infinitely more than what you actually contribute. You can be the most skilled person in your department. Doesn't matter. If your boss doesn't see it, if leadership doesn't hear about it, if your name doesn't come up in the right conversations, your skill is worthless. Think about the last person who got promoted in your company. Were they truly the best candidate? Or were they the person everyone knew? The person whose name kept appearing? The person leadership associated with results whether they created them or not? Perception is reality in corporate environments, and perception is built through strategic visibility, not quiet excellence. Here's how this plays out. You complete a massive project. You did everything. You solved every problem. You delivered beyond expectations. Then your manager presents it to leadership. Who gets the credit? The person in the room. You might think that's unfair. It's not unfair, it's predictable. Leadership sees the presenter. They remember the presenter. When promotion time comes, they think of the presenter. You staying invisible didn't make you noble, it made you forgettable. Machiavelli understood this completely. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." 500 years later, nothing changed. Your reputation is built on what people perceive, not what actually happened. So what do smart professionals do? They control perception deliberately. They don't wait for recognition. They create it. They don't hope their work speaks for itself. They speak for their work, loudly, repeatedly, strategically. They send updates. They share wins. They mention their contributions in meetings. They make sure their name attaches to results. They build relationships with decision makers who will remember them when opportunities open. Is this self-promotion? Absolutely. And self-promotion is not a character flaw. It's a survival skill. You know what happens when you refuse to promote yourself? Someone else promotes themselves using your work. They'll take your idea, repackage it, present it, and get credited for it. Then they'll get the promotion you deserved. And you'll sit there wondering why hard work doesn't pay off. Here's the dark psychology behind this. People trust confidence more than competence. When someone confidently takes credit, most people assume they earned it. When someone quietly does great work, most people assume it wasn't that difficult. Your silence reads as lack of impact. Their noise reads as leadership. This doesn't mean lying. This doesn't mean stealing credit. This means making your actual contributions impossible to ignore. It means understanding that in a world where attention is currency, invisibility is career suicide. You want respect? Stop expecting people to discover your value. Start making your value undeniable. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." In corporate terms, it's better to be known than skilled if you cannot be both. And if you can be both, you become unstoppable. Starting tomorrow, change one behavior. After you complete something significant, send a brief update to your manager and relevant stakeholders, not asking for praise, simply making your contribution visible. Just completed X project. Results, Y. Next steps, Z. That's it. No humble bragging. No false modesty, just facts that attach your name to results. Do this consistently and watch what happens. Suddenly people start thinking of you differently. They remember your name. They associate you with results. And when opportunity opens, your name appears in their mind. Performance without perception is wasted effort. Perception without performance is fragile. But performance plus strategic perception, that's how you build unstoppable career momentum. Now write this affirmation in the comments. I make my value visible. Lesson 2. Loyalty costs you money. Mobility makes you rich. Here's a question that's going to hurt. How long have you been at your current company? 3 years? 5? 10? Now ask yourself this. How much has your salary increased during that time? 5% annually if you're lucky. Maybe 10% for a promotion? Meanwhile, someone who job hops every 2 years is making 30, 40, sometimes 50% more than you for the same work. This is the loyalty trap, and it's destroying your wealth-building potential. Companies love loyal employees. Why? Because loyal employees are cheap. They accept small raises because they value stability. They stay during tough times because they feel invested. They sacrifice compensation for comfort. And companies exploit this psychology ruthlessly. Here's the brutal math. The average raise for staying at a company is 3%. The average increase for changing companies is 10 to 20%. Over a decade, that difference becomes hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're not building security through loyalty. You're building your company's profit margin. Think about it. When does your company pay you what you're actually worth? Never during annual reviews. Only when you have another offer. Only when losing you becomes expensive. Only when they're forced to match market rates or lose you to competition. That tells you everything. Your value is determined by what you could make elsewhere, not by your contributions inside. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two things, fear and desire." Your company doesn't desire to pay you more, but they fear losing you to competitors. Use that fear. The professionals making real money understand this completely. They treat their career like free agency. Every 2 to 3 years, they test the market, they interview, they get offers, they leverage those offers for significant increases. Some take the new role. Some use the offer to negotiate internally. Either way, they're maximizing compensation instead of accepting whatever their employer decides to give them. You know what's interesting? The moment you resign, suddenly your company finds budget. Suddenly they can match your new offer. Suddenly you're worth 20% more than you were yesterday. Nothing about your skills changed. Nothing about your contributions changed. What changed? The cost of replacing you became higher than the cost of keeping you. That's not loyalty rewarded. That's leverage in action. But here's the trap most people fall into. They stay because they feel guilty. They've built relationships. They like their team. They worry about burning bridges. So they accept below-market compensation for comfort. They trade tens of thousands of dollars for not having to interview. They sacrifice wealth building for emotional ease, and their company thanks them by keeping them underpaid. Let me be clear. Relationships are valuable. Team dynamics matter, but neither pays your mortgage, neither funds your retirement, neither builds generational wealth. The cold reality. Your company will lay you off the second it's financially beneficial. They won't feel guilty. They won't worry about your feelings. They'll call it restructuring and move on. But you're supposed to feel guilty about taking a better offer. You're supposed to sacrifice your financial future for a company that sees you as a line item on a spreadsheet. That's not loyalty. That's financial self-destruction disguised as values. Here's what smart professionals do. They stay long enough to build skills and relationships that make them more valuable externally. 18 months to 3 years. Then they test the market. They don't burn bridges. They leave professionally. They give notice. They help with transitions. But they refuse to accept below-market compensation just because someone might feel betrayed. Machiavelli once said, "He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner affects his ruin than his preservation." Translation: staying loyal to outdated ideas about career longevity ruins your financial future. The market rewards mobility. The market punishes loyalty. That's not opinion. That's data. Top earners in any field didn't get there by staying put. They got there by strategically moving to roles that compensated them fairly. They built wealth through leverage, not through hoping their employer would suddenly become generous. Starting tomorrow, do this. Update your LinkedIn, reach out to recruiters, take calls from competitors. Even if you're not planning to leave, understand your market value. That knowledge alone changes everything. It tells you whether you're being compensated fairly. It gives you leverage in negotiations. It removes fear from career decisions. Because here's the secret. The professional who knows they can leave any time negotiates differently than the professional who feels trapped. Confidence comes from options. Options come from mobility. Your company's loyalty to you extends exactly as far as your profitability to them. Your loyalty to them should extend exactly as far as their compensation reflects your value. That's not cold, that's fair. Now write this affirmation in the comments. My value determines my loyalty. Lesson 3. Problems are worthless. Solutions make you invaluable. Walk into any meeting in any company and count how many people complain. The project is too hard. The timeline is unrealistic. The resources are insufficient. The strategy won't work. The client is difficult. Complaints everywhere. Solutions nowhere. You know what separates employees from executives? Executives understand that identifying problems is worthless. Solving them is priceless. Anyone can point out what's wrong. A child can do that. But the person who walks into a room with a problem and a solution, that person becomes indispensable. Think about the last meeting you attended. How much time was spent discussing what wasn't working? How much time was spent on solutions? Most meetings are 90% diagnosis, 10% treatment. The people who complain think they're being helpful. They're not. They're creating noise. They're highlighting issues everyone already sees without moving anything forward. Then someone speaks up with a clear solution. Everyone stops. Leadership leans in. That person's name gets remembered. Why? Because they transformed a complaint into action. Machiavelli once said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." In modern terms, yesterday's complaints don't matter. Today's solutions do. Here's the brutal workplace truth. Your company doesn't pay you to identify problems. They pay you to eliminate them. The faster you solve problems, the more valuable you become. The more valuable you become, the higher you rise. But most people do the opposite. They find a problem and immediately broadcast it. They send emails alerting everyone. They schedule meetings to discuss it. They create task forces to analyze it. Meanwhile, the strategic professional finds the problem, develops a solution, and presents both simultaneously. They don't ask permission. They don't wait for consensus. They solve it, then tell leadership it's handled. Which person do you think gets promoted? Here's what happens psychologically. When you present a problem without a solution, you transfer stress to your boss. They now have to solve your problem on top of everything else they're handling. You just made their job harder. But when you present a problem with a solution, you remove stress from your boss. You made their job easier. You demonstrated initiative, competence, and leadership. Leadership promotes people who make their lives easier, not harder. Think about this differently. Every problem is an opportunity to demonstrate value. Most people see problems as obstacles. Smart professionals see them as auditions. Project behind schedule? Don't just say it. Present a recovery plan. Client unhappy? Don't just warn people. Propose a resolution strategy. Process inefficient? Don't just complain. Design a better system. Every solution you deliver builds your reputation. Every complaint without action reinforces that you're an observer, not a leader. Here's the trap. You think bringing up problems shows you care. You think highlighting issues demonstrates awareness. But leadership doesn't need more aware people. They need more effective people. Awareness without action is just anxiety with better vocabulary. Machiavelli once said, "Entrepreneurs are simply those who understand that there is little difference between obstacle and opportunity and are able to turn both to their advantage." That's the mindset shift. Stop seeing problems as things that happen to you. Start seeing them as chances to prove your worth. Your manager announces a crisis. Everyone panics. You stay calm and outline 3 potential solutions. Who looks like leadership material? A client threatens to leave. Everyone makes excuses. You create a retention plan and present it within 24 hours. Who gets trusted with bigger clients? The system breaks down. Everyone complains. You fix it and document the solution so it doesn't break again. Who becomes the go-to person for critical issues? Every single time you solve something others just complain about, you separate yourself from the crowd. You become the person leadership thinks of when important projects open up. Here's what this looks like practically. Next time you encounter a problem, follow this pattern. 1. Understand it completely. Don't react immediately. Analyze it. 2. Develop at least 3 potential solutions. Never bring one option. Options show strategic thinking. 3. Identify your recommended solution with clear reasoning. Don't make your boss decide. Make a recommendation they can approve or adjust. 4. Present problem and solution together. Here's the issue. Here are 3 ways to fix it. I recommend option 2 because of X, Y, Z. Can I move forward? That approach transforms you from problem identifier to problem eliminator. And problem eliminators build careers. Problem identifiers stay replaceable. Your value in any organization is measured by how many problems disappear because you exist, not how many you can point out, how many you make vanish. Now write this affirmation in the comments. I bring solutions, not complaints. Lesson 4. Your network is your net worth. Isolation kills careers. You think your job is your job title. Wrong. Your job is building relationships with people who will remember you when opportunities open. Right now, someone less skilled than you is getting promoted. Not because they're better at the work, because they're better at relationships. Here's the brutal truth about how careers actually advance. Promotions don't go to the most qualified person. They go to the person leadership already knows, likes, and trusts. You can be the most talented individual contributor in your company. Doesn't matter. If decision makers don't know you exist, you're invisible. Think about how promotions actually happen. A position opens. Leadership needs to fill it quickly. Do they post it publicly and interview dozens of candidates? Sometimes. But more often they think, who do we already know who could handle this? The person who immediately comes to mind gets the opportunity. And who comes to mind? The person they've interacted with. The person whose name they recognize. The person they've built rapport with. That's not nepotism. That's human nature. People trust familiarity. Machiavelli understood this completely. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But there's another layer. It's better to be known than perfect if you cannot be both. Your technical skills only matter if the right people know you have them. Here's what most people get wrong. They think networking is sleazy. They think relationship building is manipulative. They think focusing on connections is somehow less pure than focusing on craft. So they stay at their desk. They skip company events. They eat lunch alone. They decline after-work gatherings. They tell themselves, my work will speak for itself. And then they wonder why they keep getting passed over. Meanwhile, the person who shows up to events, has coffee with colleagues, knows people across departments, and has relationships with senior leadership keeps advancing. Not because they're playing politics, because they're playing the actual game. Business is relationships. Full stop. The person with strong relationships gets opportunities the isolated expert never hears about. Think about it this way. 2 candidates with identical skills. One has a relationship with the hiring manager, one doesn't. Who gets the job? The known quantity wins every time. Risk decreases when you know someone. Trust builds through familiarity. People hire, promote, and collaborate with individuals they've already built rapport with. This is why executives spend so much time in meetings that seem unproductive. They're not there for the agenda. They're there to be seen, to build relationships, to stay visible with decision makers. You think that's wasted time? It's the most productive time they spend. Because those relationships determine their next 5 opportunities. Here's the cold psychology behind this. Humans make emotional decisions and justify them with logic afterward. That includes hiring and promotion decisions. Leadership doesn't promote someone then figure out why. They like someone, trust someone, know someone, then find reasons to justify the decision. Your job is to become that someone. Machiavelli once said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." Reverse that. The people around you determine how far you go. If you're surrounded by average performers with no connections, your opportunities are limited. If you're connected to high performers and decision makers, opportunities multiply. Your network literally determines your net worth, not just financially, in access, information, opportunities, and career acceleration. Starting tomorrow, change this behavior. Identify 3 people in your organization who make decisions about opportunities you want. Schedule coffee. Ask about their path. Learn what they value, not to manipulate them, to build genuine relationships. Because when opportunities open, you want your name in their mental database. Also, stop eating lunch at your desk. Eat with colleagues, different teams, different departments. Build cross-functional relationships. The person in marketing, finance, or operations might hear about opportunities before they're posted. Go to company events. Yes, they're often awkward. Go anyway. FaceTime matters. Casual conversations build familiarity. Familiarity builds trust. Join committees. Volunteer for cross-departmental projects. Raise your hand when leadership asks for help. These aren't distractions from your real work. This is your real work. Your technical contributions keep you employed. Your relationships get you promoted. Here's what changes when you build a strong network. Information flows to you faster. You hear about opportunities before they're announced. People think of you when problems need solving. Your name circulates in conversations you're not part of. That's how power compounds. Not through isolated excellence, through connected competence. Your skills are your foundation. Your network is your multiplier. Without the multiplier, your foundation just sits there. With it, your career accelerates exponentially. Now write this affirmation in the comments. I build relationships strategically. Lesson 5. Emotion is weakness. Detachment is power. Here's a question that's going to expose something uncomfortable. How many times have you gotten emotional at work? Frustrated in a meeting? Angry at feedback? Defensive during criticism? Hurt by someone's comment? Every time you react emotionally, you hand over power. Every time you let someone see they got to you, you become easier to control. The person who stays calm while everyone else loses their mind becomes the most dangerous person in the room. Think about negotiations. 2 people want different outcomes. One gets emotional, raises their voice, shows frustration. The other stays cold, unmoved, calculating. Who wins? The calm one. Always. Because emotion clouds judgment. Detachment clarifies strategy. This is the hardest lesson for most people because we're taught that showing emotion is healthy, that vulnerability is strength, that expressing feelings creates connection. In your personal life? Maybe. In the corporate arena? Absolutely not. Machiavelli once said, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." In workplace terms, it's safer to be respected for your composure than liked for your emotionality. Emotional people are predictable. You know exactly how to manipulate them. Criticism makes them defensive. Pressure makes them crack. Conflict makes them uncomfortable. The strategic professional who maintains emotional detachment, impossible to manipulate. You can't push their buttons because they've disconnected the buttons from their actions. Here's what this looks like practically. Your boss criticizes your work in front of colleagues. Most people either defend themselves immediately or internalize the shame. Both reactions give away power. The detached professional listens without reacting, thanks them for the feedback, asks clarifying questions calmly, then improves the work or provides context later. No emotion, no drama, just information processing. What happens? The boss can't get a reaction. Your colleagues see strength. You maintain frame control. That's power. Think about this psychologically. When someone attacks you and you react emotionally, you validate their attack. You show it affected you. They now know they can affect you again. But when someone attacks and you remain unmoved, you invalidate their attack. They wasted energy. They revealed their emotion while you revealed none. They look weak. You look unshakable. This doesn't mean being robotic. This means mastering your emotional display. You can feel everything internally. Just don't broadcast it externally. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Control the appearance, keep the reality private." Here's where most people fail. They think detachment means not caring. Wrong. Detachment means caring about outcomes more than feelings. It means prioritizing results over reactions. You care deeply about your career. You just don't let temporary emotions derail your strategy. Someone disrespects you in a meeting. You feel anger. That's natural. But do you react angrily? No. You note it. You calculate. You decide later how to address it strategically. Maybe you address it privately. Maybe you let their behavior damage their own reputation. Maybe you use it to build an alliance with someone else they disrespected. Whatever you do, you decide deliberately, not emotionally. This is why executives often appear cold. They're not cold, they're calculated. They've trained themselves to pause between stimulus and response. That pause is where power lives. The untrained mind reacts instantly. The strategic mind pauses, calculates, then responds optimally. Think about the most respected leaders you've encountered. Do they get flustered? Do they show frustration? Do they react impulsively? Never publicly. They might feel all those things privately. But externally they project control. That projection becomes their armor. People stop testing them because tests don't work. People stop manipulating them because manipulation requires emotional hooks they don't expose. Here's what changes when you master emotional detachment. Criticism becomes data instead of attack. Conflict becomes negotiation instead of battle. Pressure becomes opportunity instead of stress. You stop being reactive. You become strategic, and strategic people run circles around emotional people every single time. Starting tomorrow, practice this. When something triggers you emotionally, pause before responding. Count to 3. Ask yourself, what outcome do I actually want here? Then respond based on that outcome, not your feeling. Someone criticizes you publicly. Pause. Outcome. Maintain credibility and address issue. Response. Thanks for raising that. Let's discuss details after this meeting. Calm, professional, controlled. Someone tries to provoke you. Pause. Outcome. Not giving them satisfaction. Response. Neutral acknowledgement. Then move to next topic. They got nothing. That pause between trigger and response is where you reclaim power from your emotions. Machiavelli once said, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." You can't command others if you can't command yourself. And commanding yourself starts with emotional mastery. Your emotions are valid, your feelings matter, but they shouldn't control your professional behavior. Save the emotional expression for trusted relationships outside work. In the corporate arena, emotion is ammunition you hand to opponents. Detachment is armor nobody can penetrate. Now write this affirmation in the comments. I control my reactions.